Hello there, JoAnn. Thank you so much for trusting me with this question. Hello there, everybody else who are just interested in seeing what my reading style is like for a single individual person. So, Miss JoAnn is actually has been a client of mine for a while. We've done reading and we've done Reiki. I know a little bit of background about the question from whenever she and I talked before. And she's given me some more, and we'll get into that later on. JoAnn, I do think that I may use the Lenormand cards to clarify for you today. I normally don't use those for a professional reading, but as I was reading through your letter, I thought, this might be a really good place to pull out the Lenormands and see what they have to say. So I'm going to actually clear that deck as well as one of my tarot decks for this reading. So we'll have a little extra deck clearing time on this video. For those of you who are interested in getting a reading or checking out the idea of a reading with me, I do offer these readings, the online readings for $6. I also have private readings that other people don't have access to. You can ask one question or two questions, or you can get actually a live reading, which I sell in increments of 30, 45, or 60 minutes. And I also do addiction relief services to help somebody get a leg up on any kind of addictions that they may be really seriously wanting to kick. And then what else do? I offer Reiki services, of course. I think most of you guys have been watching me know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. And for those of you who are in the local area, I do offer psychic parties, local being Golden, Colorado, or within a 2-hour driving distance. So I offer psychic parties where either I read for you and your guests, or where I facilitate and help you and your guests explore your own psychic abilities, which we all have some, and those are always fun and interesting and surprising. And then the other thing I do if you're local is I do clear houses. So if you are trying to sell a house and it's not moving fast enough and you just want to get rid of some stagnant energy, or if you have some stuff going on in your house that's downright scary, and then anything in between, I am able to help with that type of stuff. I'm the person to call if you happen to be in the local area. That I don't do long distance. Okay, so readings, Reiki, and addiction relief services, those can happen long distance or in person either way. Let's take a peek. Let's take a peek now at Ms. JoAnn's question. I want to get everything set up on my computer so I've got all the information in front of me. Okay, so Ms. JoAnn writes, Amista, I haven't talked to my sister for a week, and there's a rift between us. I don't know what it is, but it's here, and I really, really need some insight into it. Please, because you know how this kind of thing is with people, that the longer it continues, the bigger the rift becomes. We'll be on Facebook at the same time, and she doesn't say anything to me. It's been like this now for over a year. Remember I told you how weird she's been acting for a long time. I've talked to her, of course, here and there, but I don't know, something's off kilter here. I have a pretty strong personality. We're twins. She's a lot softer of a person than I am. Maybe she thinks I get on her nerves or something. I haven't done anything to her. I just don't get it. She puts cryptic word pics on Facebook saying things like, appreciate the love you have, and read between the lines, and all kind of other things. She's a tap dance around the issue type, whereas I am a get to the point and spit it out type. Please help. So I like the tarot because I think the tarot will give us a pretty good idea. I also like the Lenormand because the Lenormand can really get specific for us. So I think we're actually going to use both for this particular question. And I just realized I didn't put my phone on silent, and I want to do that so I'm not interrupted once I'm actually looking at this. So we're going to do the tarot first, and if I feel like we need the Lenormand, we'll hit the Lenormand. Right now I'm just shuffling till it feels right on the tarot deck. JoAnn and her sister Louise. What is the cause of the rift? What is the root cause of the rift between the two of them? La da da da, la da da da. Let's see what comes up. See what comes up. Yep, 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 yep. Got some interesting stuff here. I'm glad I already figured out I was going to have to clarify this. Okay, so, well, the very center card that you have, by the way, I'm using the Druidcraft Tarot. The very center card that you have is the Five of Swords, which does talk about conflict. So it does talk, this is the focal point here, is that there is conflict, whether it's under the surface or above ground. We are looking at that there is some kind of conflict that happened here. So Spirit's definitely on the same page with us. The first thing that comes up, though, because that's really the center of the spread. So the first thing that comes up I'm asking if this has to do with financially or emotionally, because this card could play out both ways. To me, I feel like mostly this is emotional, although there may be some financial symptoms, or you may see some financial evidence or outbreak of this, but the root of this is actually emotional. But you have what you have going on between you and your sister. There's emotionally, there's a holding back that started out at the beginning of this. It was from not saying what was really on you guys' minds to each other. And I want to feel around for who was this that was not. Neither one of you. It was like you were both kind of feeling like, well, I want to keep the peace, so I'm not going to say anything about this situation. So something happened that I think actually neither one of you were very comfortable with. And at the same time, neither one of you felt comfortable actually bringing it up, even though you're kind of a take the bull by the horns type of girl. So that's the first thing that we have. And that's always, that can lead to stuff. It doesn't always lead to anything this big. But let's see. So basically what we're seeing is the actual progression of this, that there was that holding back originally between the two of you and not sharing how you felt about stuff just in an honest and open way, because you didn't want to rock the boat, or you didn't want to make waves, or you were afraid of how the other person would react. Maybe you didn't want to hurt their feelings, and vice versa. This went two ways. This went both ways. And what we see coming up next is that we see somebody getting really upset. And this is when somebody gets really upset, this is, I feel like this is that you, got upset because you could tell that she was holding things back and that you got upset about it after a while. And so there has been a time whenever you said, hey, why are you acting this way? Whatever, But to me, the way that this shows up, that you confronted the situation from a very emotional place, which is really easy to do. I mean, we're humans, and usually when something hits us hard in our emotions, we have that reaction, we have that flashback. So, there's something that triggered you actually confronting her about how she wasn't sharing with you, and it took her by surprise. It kind of sideswiped her. She didn't know what to say to you about it. And she didn't know how to tell you what the real deal was at the time. That led to this conflict that we see coming up. This is open conflict. This is not underground conflict, although the conflict is more underground now from the sounds of things. But this led to that open conflict. Okay? So, all of that's pretty easy to decipher. It's the last couple of cards that I want to look at here and see where they're going, because we kind of had a mood here and then it totally suddenly changes on the last two cards. So that's why it's like, okay, why is this not all fitting together? Before I pull out the Lenormand, I just want to see if this is... Excuse me a second. Things are falling in my house. Let me check that out. I apologize for that, Miss JoAnn. I have a repairman here working on my water heater, and something just fell, and it, like, when it fell, it caused a chain reaction that caused some other things to fall, including my lit candle on my altar in the kitchen, and some of my figurines, like my Ganesha and my Lakshmi. And so I heard all of that commotion. I don't know if you guys picked it up on the microphone. And so I was like, okay, I wasn't going to interrupt a video for any of this maintenance stuff, but I got to see what is going on out there. So anyhow, I think it's quite significant that that happened to happen at this point in the video, where we're just looking at this transition between conflict and whatever else this is, if it's even a transition. I still want to clarify and see what this next card is telling me. Okay, so this next card is really telling me a little bit more about what this conflict is about. That there is something where you guys felt like, okay, so first you guys were holding back information from each other because you didn't want to hurt each other's feelings. Then we have an eruption where basically you're reacting to this and it kind of sideswipes her. This leads to the conflict, which is actually above ground, open conflict. And that conflict is in part because you guys, it's easy for you guys. I know that you haven't been in this position for a while, but I think it's easy for you guys to be in each other's space so much that it can feel like you're actually smothering each other. And so that was part of the conflict, is just, okay, I need some room. I'm at a point in my life where I need some room. I can't tell you every time I'm having a feeling anymore. So you guys have really come into a transition where you guys have gone from being close to needing some space to just kind of be yourselves. And it's interesting to me that this happened like this late in your lives. To me, this is something that I would expect to see from a couple of teenage twin sisters, to have all of this kind of erupt in this way, where someone decides that they need more space. They don't want to be snuggled in quite so close to where each knows everything about the other. And then I want to look at this last card. This last card to me really talks about that there's a certain holding of boundaries so that Louise feels like she can actually be herself. I think that what I've got here is that Louise doesn't want to answer a bunch of questions about what she's doing or why she's doing things. She just wants to do them, and so she's kind of got these boundaries that are going up. Now, I think that what's going to happen is that in time, some of these boundaries are going to come back down. But for at the moment, whatever it is that's happening that has her feeling like you guys were, breathing too much of the same air, is still kind of in play for her. And she needs some space to kind of think things out and work things through for herself. And so she is holding that space. She's not letting you into that space. I would be surprised if she's letting very many into that space at all. Maybe a significant other, maybe some kids. I'm not even sure that is happening from what I'm looking at here. But she is really trying to sort things out for herself and trying to figure her own self out. Like the old hippie thing, I've gone to find myself. This is kind of where she is. She's trying to figure out about herself. and keep that space so that she can. And I think that a little bit of the idea of you guys being twins, for her, this is kind of, yeah, we're twins, but I'm not her and she's not me, and I don't have the same thoughts, and so I need this space. So that's what I really feel like is going on here, is that she needs the space to be herself, and that when you and her are too close, she starts to feel like she's not herself. So all of this kind of holding back, I think all of this really stems from this idea of she doesn't want to be just your twin. She wants to be Louise, basically, is what we have going on here. And I kind of have the sense that she may not know how to say that to you. Like, that may be what it is that she was so afraid to say to you, was, you know, we've always been this close, but I'm not feeling comfortable here anymore. That might be where she was holding back. And then you were holding back and, you know, just waiting to see if she would open up more and not wanting to push her or whatever. But definitely things have changed for her. She needs space to be herself. And I think she feels like she's been a little bit in your shadow. Like, you're the one that always had the ideas and was ready to go forward. And, you know, she was always a little bit more, let's wait and see, let's hold back, let's look at things a little bit more, let's think about this a little bit more. And so I think she feels like she's been in your shadow. So she doesn't want to be in your shadow. She wants to be her true self, and she wants to decide things on her own. And then I want to also see, like I said earlier, what the Lenormand have to say, if there's any more detail they can give us, or if they just want to confirm here. Actually, what she's doing is a very healthy thing. If she would have been able to communicate to you what she needed to do, I think that would have helped you understand, and you would have given her space, no problem. I think she probably didn't know how to say what she needed to say, or she just really didn't know how to put words around what she was feeling at all. Okay, so let's see what our Lenormand have to say. I'm going to put down 3 of these. Well, what we have here is ridiculously interesting and puzzling. Okay, so the first thing that I'm really seeing that kind of does make sense to me is you guys have some repetitive obstacles here. And, you know, you can see that of course, this is a repetitive obstacle because nobody's really come out in the open with it and talked about what's going on. And so you keep feeling like you're banging your head up against the wall, and she's probably feeling the same way, but she hasn't really told you what's going on her end for you to know. So repetitive obstacles, but you also have a card that talks about good luck right at the front of these 3 cards. So to me, this is talking about, with the repetitive obstacle, there's that this is something that is productive and is going to move you guys forward. So to me, kind of like how I said, what she's doing is actually very healthy. If she could have communicated to you what it was that she needed, it would have worked much more smoothly, and it wouldn't have had you feeling like you were banging your head against the wall. You could have been supportive to her in this. But she didn't know how to say it. And so this, to me, what the Lenormand are saying is that this is a repetitive obstacle, and that it's a good thing that it's repeated. It's a good thing that she hasn't given up trying to be herself and find what she really is as herself, not just as your twin. So, you know, this is some really interesting sibling dynamic here, because everybody kind of expects her to be kind of like you. So it's very lucky, I think, that she has not just caved in and gone back to the way that things used to be. Lucky for herself and lucky for you. And I think that once once you start looking at this and you start putting the pieces together and thinking back about different things that were said and how they were said, I think you'll understand that it's not at all that she doesn't care about you or that she doesn't love you or that she wants to be distant from you. It's all about she needs to figure out who she is, and she doesn't feel like she's had the chance to do that yet. So I think this is actually, like I said, this is going to be a good thing in the long run for the both of you. I don't see these walls staying up forever in the way that they are now. I think that once your sister understands more about herself and who she is and has her confidence, some of those walls will come down. But for right now, this is just kind of what she needs. And I think that once you have seen this and put this together and sort of understand what's really going on, I think that's also going to make it easier for her as well as easier for you to understand and to deal with. Okay? So that's what I have, my dear. That's pretty deep. I think, like I said, it was really interesting that that happened right in the middle of that reading, because it really signifies that, there was definitely a shakeup of things in the relationship due to this. And yeah, like I said, I think if your sister would have known how to communicate this to you, I think she probably would have. And even if, if she did and she didn't, if she did know and she didn't communicate it to you, to me, this really smacks of the combination of not exactly knowing really what's going on and definitely not knowing how to say it in a way that's not going to hurt your feelings or sound like she doesn't want to be around you or whatever. She does. She just needs to have her own space to figure out who she is as well without being right in your shadow. So anyway, that's what I've got. I hope that that is of great help to you, Ms. JoAnn, and also to your sister Louise once you see this. And I hope that you guys have a fabulous day, and I look forward to the next time we get to work together, my dear. Peace out.